The image was stark, devoid of the usual royal polish. Prince William, now the Prince of Wales, stood stoically yet visibly hollowed during the ceremonial procession of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II's coffin. The world's cameras, trained on him for decades, captured not the future king, but a grieving grandson. His eyes, heavy with a loss that seemed to pull at his very frame, told a story no press release ever could. Across the Atlantic, in a nation born from a rebellion against monarchy, a massive and deeply personal reaction was unfolding. This was not merely tabloid fascination, it was a collective, heartfelt resonance. The sight of William's pain did something remarkable. It temporarily dissolved the complexities of transatlantic history and politics, sparking a wave of empathy in the United States that revealed as much about the American psyche as it did about the prince. The scaffolding of a public persona, from baby royal to pillar of stability. To understand the weight of the reaction, one must first understand the arc of William's public life, meticulously constructed and painfully fractured in equal measure. For Americans, he has been a constant fixture, a living character in a real-world saga. His narrative was written in the public eye. The cherubic boy who lost his fairy tale mother in the most devastating way imaginable, the teen who navigated grief under a global microscope, the dutiful heir who sought normalcy in education and military service, and finally, the devoted family man with Catherine, embodying a modern, relatable stability. This carefully built persona of resilience made his visible fracture so powerful. Americans had witnessed his journey not as subjects, but as an audience invested in his character's arc. They had seen him protect his brother at Diana's funeral, applauded his focus on fatherhood, and admired his steadfastness during crises. He represented, in many American eyes, the good royal, one who had earned his stripes not just by birth, but by enduring profound personal trial with dignity. When the pillars showed a crack, the empathy was not for an institution, but for the man holding it up. The reaction was not a vague sentiment. It was ignited by specific, unguarded moments that cut through the pageantry. The walk behind the coffin. The parallels to his mother's funeral were inescapable and agonizing. The world watched, holding a collective breath, remembering the traumatized 15-year-old. Now, as a man in his 40s, walking not just for a monarch, but for the grandmother who had been his emotional anchor, his pain was a silent, mature echo of that earlier tragedy. It was a tableau of duty overriding personal desolation, a concept that resonates deeply with American ideals of sacrifice. His tribute for Catherine, Charlotte, Louis, and my darling Gangan was a masterclass in emotional authenticity within a formal setting. The use of the familial nickname Gangan was a deliberate opening of the private sphere. It signaled that this was a family eulogy broadcast to the world. For Americans, it transformed the Queen from a distant icon into a beloved matriarch, and William into every grandson who has ever struggled to sum up a lifetime of love in a few words. The symbolism was immediate. With the Queen's passing, William inherited not just a title, but the immense, lonely weight of the monarchy's future. The American press was quick to frame this as William's heavy burden, a narrative that aligns with classic American stories of inheriting a family business or legacy under duress. His grief was thus layered with the anxiety of monumental responsibility, making his stoicism not just noble, but heroic in a very relatable, cinematic way. For generations of Americans, the royal family story is viewed overwhelmingly through the lens of Diana, Princess of Wales. She was the ultimate transatlantic icon, glamorous, wounded, rebellious, and humanitarian. William is her most tangible living legacy. Seeing him grieve reactivated the unresolved collective grief for Diana herself. It was a poignant reminder of the little boy America wanted to protect in 1997, now a man bearing fresh sorrow. Protecting him emotionally through waves of supportive media and social media commentary became a proxy for righting the wrongs of the past. 2. The craving for authenticity in a curated age. In an era of social media facades and polarized political performances, William's raw, unfiltered grief was a jarring dose of authenticity. It was human vulnerability on the world's most formal stage. Americans, weary of artifice, clung to it. Commentary across platforms praised his realness. His pain was not a PR strategy, it was unmistakably genuine. In a culture that often equates visibility with vulnerability as weakness, his demonstration that strength and sorrow can coexist was profoundly impactful. 3. The paradox of the relatable royal. America rejected monarchy, but remains enthralled. Personal lives of its players. William and Catherine have been crafted, intentionally or not, as the relatable royals. Hands-on parents, advocates for mental health, displaying a middle-class-ish demeanor. William's grief shattered the last vestiges of the fairy tale illusion, revealing the universal human experience beneath the title. Americans saw not a prince, but a man who loved his grandmother, worried about his father, and leaned on his wife. This relatability forged a powerful emotional connection that transcended constitutional differences. The late Queen's death and William's subsequent role provided a rare, unifying point of focus for a nation deeply divided. For a brief period, the cyclical 24/7 news frenzy over domestic political battles paused. The narrative was singular: grief, transition, and human endurance. Discussing William's composure or Harry's conflicted presence was a safe form of national conversation, a shared emotional experience that didn't trigger immediate partisan backlash. It was a collective sigh, a moment to feel something together that was complex but not politically charged. On a deeper level, William became a vessel for America's own anxieties about leadership, family, and legacy. In a country grappling with the aging of its own political leaders and cultural icons, the orderly, tradition-laden transition, despite family tensions, offered a strange comfort. William's pain, coupled with his unwavering duty, presented a model of graceful succession many fear is lacking at home. He became, for a moment, the symbol of stability everyone could root for. The morning show treatment. Programs like Today and Good Morning America dedicated hours to analyzing not just the ceremonial details, but the human drama. Psychologists were brought in to discuss sibling grief and the weight of duty. Royal commentators provided backstory, ensuring every viewer understood the emotional stakes. It was covered as a major news event with the granular detail of a prestige drama. The op-ed and think piece wave. Beyond news reporting, the event spawned a genre of reflective writing. Pieces explored themes like the modernization of monarchy through grief, what William's silence teaches us about masculinity, and America's enduring royal fascination. These think pieces intellectualize the emotional reaction, giving it depth and context, and validating it as a subject worthy of serious cultural analysis.